playing game because it's spooky season. Hello, my fellow spooks. It is I, the OG GM, taking another walk around Site B to see if there's any decorated lawns. And I thought we'd talk about spookies again. Now, I recorded this video yesterday, but I didn't like it, so I deleted it, and I thought I'd do it over again. So today we're going to talk about that very loud car. We're talking about haunted houses. What are the rules of the haunted house, and when you can break the rules of the haunted house. Like every aspect of anything, especially horror, there are rules that the players in the movie follow and the monsters in the movie follow, right? But we also know we can upend those rules as established, by Scream and movies that came out after Scream and Haunting of Hill House, that it's okay to upend the rules as long as somewhere within the story arc, the characters in the movie are made aware of the new rules. So, what defines a haunted house? Well, in my mind, and of course this might be incorrect, in my mind it's the same definition as what is a dungeon. Anything can be a haunted house. Obviously a spooky house first and foremost, but a boat can be a haunted house, a skyscraper can be a haunted house, a spaceship can be a haunted house. It has the same basic rules of limited ability to maneuver, limited ability to get in, limited ability to get out, and a set series of occurrences that are going to happen to tell the story of the haunted house. But classically, a haunted house is a big spooky house in the middle of some spooky area, right? But you can apply these rules to anything. They're not really rules, they're just ideas. So rule number one, of course, is that never forget the house is a character itself. In fact, the house is the main character. Now you would say, no, the player characters are the main character. But in the case of a haunted house, the house is a character. The house has its own needs, its own wants, things it wants to do, things it wants to accomplish, and the player characters are the impetus to start the series of events. So that's the first and most important rule, that the house itself is a character in the story. And in many ways, it's the house's story and how the characters tell the story of the house and react to the house. Rule number two, everybody knows that there's something going on in the haunted house, but the actual story doesn't start till the characters get there, right? And this is a classic trope. And it can get as ridiculous as the Tomb of Horrors trope, where no one knows where it is, no one ever comes back, but everybody's heard of it. Which in today's age is kind of dumb, right? Because logic dictates, well, if no one's ever come back, the house's story doesn't talk until you're in it. Rule number three, the boundary of the house is often bigger than the actual house. Case in point, the Alamo being far bigger than the actual Alamo you visit. Rule number four, the story of the house starts off fast, then slows down, then hits a speed bump, right, and gets really fast again, and slows down, then gets really fast again, and fast, and always ends with a question mark. Now, a good haunted house story leaves you with that, is it over? Have I set the events right so the haunting ends? Question. I am not seeing any spookies, guys. Sorry. A bad haunted house leaves you wondering if it's over, but you're frustrated instead of satisfied. You're not, and you'll have the second scare, and this can be one big scare or a lot of little scares in a row. Okay, I'm not seeing any spookies. We're gonna try a different block. All right. to get the blood potion. So okay, one big encounter, a lot of little encounters, and then another pause. Build up, build up, build up. No release. Leave them hanging with tension. Then again, give them a chance to explore. Exploring is important on a haunted house. Investigate, and again, separate them. And then you end on another big scare. There can be lots of little scares combined into one final to tell the final, or it can be one big scare. And then you have what we know as the denouement, the ending. Oh, hi. So that bird stole something from the other bird, and the other bird's not very happy. And the ending wraps everything up, and the ending gives us a satisfactory ending for the characters, and it gives a satisfactory ending for the horse, the house. I see your friends lost a little weight. That diet's working. Congratulations. But there's always that question mark. A good haunted house leaves you with, okay, my story in the haunted house is over. But is the haunted house is over? Which leads us to the next one. What's the haunted house's goal? What does the haunted house want you to do while you're in the haunted house? That's a haunted house, I mean, besides just obviously scare you. That goes without saying. But is the haunted house asking for your help? Or is the haunted house indecisive to whether you're there or not? Or does the haunted house, as we often know in many haunted houses, want to add you to its collection? And since rule 1, the haunted house is the character, we get to rule 5. What does the haunted house want for you? So we have 3 types of haunted house, basically, right? We want the haunted house that wants your help. We have the haunted house that doesn't really care whether you're there or not. There's some. And we have the haunted house, the insidious haunted house, the haunted house that wants to add you to its collection. House of Haunting Hill House is the 3rd, right? Haunted Mansion is the 2nd, and some haunts are the 1st. I can't think of one, but I'm sure there's one that's the 1st. So number 3, the house wants to add you to its collection. The house has a predator. It has used bait to get you into the house, and then over the house wants you to die in the house so it can have more ghosts to play with. Why is it doing this? Usually it's because the house is lonely, or something happened in the house to cause this, and the house, or just, you know, the Christine explanation. The house has gained a thirst for blood, and the house feeds off of the spirits. So they will more. I don't know how much of this you're hearing. Keep getting disconnected. I don't know how much of this you guys are hearing. I apologize. I guess YouTube Live just doesn't work. All right. House number 2, because we're doing it in reverse. House doesn't care about you. Okay. The house is an entity. All the ghosts are separate entity. Each ghost has its own motivation. Those motivations could be in tune with the house's motivation, or they could be completely neutral. The houses and the NPCs, ghosts, are telling the story. You just happen to be stuck in the story. Disney's Haunted Mansion, right? That story is constantly repeating itself. You just happen to be walking through it at that specific time. The house might react to you, or the house might not react to you. Anything that happens to you is incidental, because the house doesn't care. If you die in the house, great. The house has got a new ghost. But if you don't die and the house leaves, the house isn't upset, because you don't matter to the house. The house has got its story. That story is constantly be repeating. It's engaging with its family, its guests, the other ghost. You just happen to be there. Now, you may be able to resolve the house's issues, or your only goal might be, still not seeing any spookies, might be to survive the house, right? These gates are cool though. So, but the house doesn't care about you. The house is not going to actively work against you. Now, the first one is the rarest. The house wants your help. Now, this usually is a reverse of number 3. The house is an innocent bystander. The ghosts are the predator. And the house wants your help to end the curse of the ghosts. The house wants a happy family, right? The house wants to be a warm, welcome place. But because of whatever, it is haunted. And the house can't do anything itself to stop the haunt. It can limit the malevolence to its best. Your job is to set things right, to find the MacGuffin, to resolve the mystery, to set the spirits free, to end the house's suffering, so that the house can move on and become a home for the next group, which is, of course, what a house wants, or so the house can finally rest and just, you know, become ruins, become desolate, rot away, happy in its memories. But you're there to help the house, and in helping the house, you are working against the ghosts. Now, a haunted house isn't always a ghost, but 99% is a ghost. Now, everybody has, of course, their opinion of what a ghost is. We have in-game terms, we have scientific terms, we have actual documented sightings of ghosts, and then, of course, every one of those actual sighting documentaries of ghosts has been debunked. Almost everybody has a ghost story or knows. There's some. Not a lot, but there's some. Knows somebody with a ghost story, right? So ghosts are a great tool to use because, like all undead, you don't have to explain them. And they can be anywhere. And they can have their own motivations. Oh, there's some more. And those motivations can be completely independent of the player's actions, or those motivations can be helped by the player's handbook additions, or those motivations can be hindered. Like each of the ghosts is going to have something it wants, something it fears, and something it wants from the characters. The ghosts are characters in the story. They are as important as the main characters, the player characters, who are as important as the main protagonist, which is the house, which cycles us back to number 1. The house is a character. The house is the main antagonist in the story. The house wants something from the characters. It can be something good, or more likely something bad. But if the house didn't want something from you, you wouldn't be there. Oh, there's some over there. Cool. Like weird scarecrows. And of course, yeah, so much like the house, you basically have 3 types of ghosts. The malevolent ghost, the I don't care ghost, and the very rarely helpful ghost. Ah, there we go. This makes up for everything we haven't seen yet. I don't get the giant ones. I think I said this last year. I don't get the 13 tall ones. Is there some fear of things being taller than you that these are supposed to appeal to? I don't get them. But this is a good lawn. Fun. I like the scarecrows. So we saw one. Oh, there's one across the street. That one looks more like kid-like. Ghost number 1, malevolent spirit. Most common ghost. Trapped within the confines of the house, that ghost is stuck in a loop. It wants friends. It wants more energy to feed off of. Usually kids. Whatever that ghost's original motivations were, it has been corrupted and it has become a malevolent spirit. And it is either helping or hindering the house's motivations. The house and the ghost can be working together, or the house and the ghost can be working against each other. But the ghost is an active protagonist equal to or greater than the house, and the ghost's motivations are what's going to be the impetus for whatever the characters have to do to resolve the scenario of the house, even if that's just get out. Ghost number 2, I don't care. Often these are the ghosts that don't know they're dead, or the ghosts that are just stuck in a loop, or the ghosts that are just having fun being ghosts and they don't care. This would be, again, Disney's Haunted Mansion, Ghostbusters, Casper, most non-threatening ghosts that just are stuck in their loop and don't react to you at all, or just don't care that you're there. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. They're living their ghostly life. They're enjoying it, but you do not matter to them unless you directly interfere with them. And then if you do interfere with them, again, they might react to you or they might not. Are we dealing with ghosts that don't care because they're stuck in a loop? That's one you see a lot. A lot of the theories you hear about real life ghosts, if you believe in such nonsense, is ghosts that are spirits stuck in a loop, much the same way like a piece of film that's just being played over and over again. And whatever that is, the building is just reflecting. That's why you always hear stories of like, I see the blue-haired lady in this room every couple days, because the blue-haired lady is stuck in a loop, and that loop ends and starts in the house. So that could be one ghost that doesn't care, and then the other ghost that doesn't care is the Haunted Mansion ghost. They know you're there, they just don't care. They're just doing their thing. If you get involved, maybe they'll interact with you, maybe they won't. Maybe you see them, but they don't see you. Or you just don't matter to them. You're insignificant. But that's the second. And the third, least likely of all the ghosts, of course, is the helpful spirit. Casper. Often, the spirit of somebody the players know, or somebody that died in Act 1 is helping them in Act 3, or, it's grandma or whatever, or it's just a ghost that is working against the malevolence of the house. Now you can't really have a helpful ghost unless the helpful ghost is there to help you against something malevolent. So really you're only going to run into a helpful ghost if you're dealing with a hostile house, or if all the other ghosts are hostile. And this right? It depends, again, what kind of house is this? Is this a harmful house? Is this a house that doesn't care? Or is it a helpful house? What does the house want from the player characters? Since a haunted house scenario is usually a one-shot, you're probably the whole scenario, hopefully be beginning, middle, and 3-4 hour slot, right? Because if you carry over second game, unless that is now hash bar we could be talking, but if you're talking about like running a loop in one shot, which is what I'm talking about. Now these tricks would also work with longer stories like Ravenloft, but we're just talking about the one night 4 hour haunted house. So, final thing. Are the characters there? Why has the house invited them? There's always the I inherited the house, or found a map to the house, or we're curious because we've heard stories, so we're going to investigate. Somebody we know has sent us a message from the house and we want to go investigate. Something happened to us in the house when we were kids, and now we're coming back as adults to confront it. But there has to be a reason for the kids to be in the haunted house. Once they're in the haunted house, you don't want them to stay. It does work if they're like, I want to live here. I want to be a ghost too. This is the primary antagonist that the characters have to deal with. The house wants something. The house fears something. The house needs something. And the player characters are the ones that decide that ending, whether it be a final ending, temporary ending. If the house is stuck in a loop, and the hauntings won't end until the loop is broken and the house and the spirits can move on. It is the player character's job to break the loop, which is probably the most common type of story you're going to run for a Halloween one-shot. Now, if you're running a more long-term haunted house like Ravenloft, then there's lots of goals and lots of little things that you need to do, but eventually it always ends up to that final denouement, that final confrontation. Even Ravenloft and Teagle Manor and some of the other famous haunted houses all have a final confrontation. Whether it's a 2-hour-long, 2-week-long, or 2-year-long haunted house story, the one rule you can't change is there has to be that resolution at the end. You have to set the things right. You have to accomplish whatever the goal was that the house set for you when you first got invited. Now, the house might help you or the house might hinder you, but again, you're only there because the house invited you. Now, the players can be given whatever motivation they want. Oh, we're going to the house because I inherited it. But the DM knows that they are there because the house invited them. The house wants something from them, whether that be I want to gobble them up, or I want them to end the curse, or I'm bored. You know, Tomb of Horrors, I'm bored. Send some new adventurers. See how far they could get. Castle de Amber, we're bored. Send some more adventures. See how far they can get. And I mean, that one's fine. And it still does have a very satisfying ending. But I think no matter how you want to run a haunted house, and no matter what kind of haunted house you want to run, if I can take one thing away from this multi-interrupted talk we've had, again, it's the very first thing, right? So it bears repeating one more time, simply because the house is the antagonist. The ghosts in the house are either working for the house or working against the house, or simply there incidentally of the house. But the house has its own goals, the house has its own fears, and the house needs something that the characters to do that nobody else can do, so it can tell its story and end its story. And even if that end means gobbling up the player characters, at least its story its end. But that's not what you want to happen. You don't want the house to win. You don't want a TPK and suddenly the house has 13 new ghosts. But it could happen, especially if you're running Ravenloft or 2 hours, but it's not the goal you want, right? You want the house issues to be resolved, to set things right. Which probably involves a MacGuffin, which is something we'll talk about in the next one. So if you appreciate me talking about spookiness, let me know. If you don't appreciate me talking about spookiness, let me know. I look forward to the rebuttal and then the other things. And we'll pick a different block next time and see if we can find more spookies. Till then, have a great day. I'll talk to you later.